Good evening, Stuart Lord superfans. Okay, whoa. Calm it down. Please. Stop that standing ovation. I haven't even done anything yet. So put your hands together, gird your loins, get to your feet, and welcome to the stage, Stuart Lord! I'm coming, you can't hold me back. I'm coming, you can't stop me, you can't stop me. I'm coming, you can't hold me back. I'm coming, you can't stop me. I'm coming, you can't hold me back. That's the opening track to Will Smith's second album. That's an incredibly bold way to open any art form, with a boast about how nothing can stop you from coming. I don't think that word has changed meaning in the last 20 years. Also, Will, nothing can stop you from coming. What about if the door's open? What about if a friend's home? What about if you remember that time you thought the phrase was, they're getting on like a mouse on fire? I feel like there's a lot of things that should stop you from coming. Also, the opening line to that track is way more sinister in hindsight. Basically, Will Smith just mutters, watch your back. That's not. Some of you also, by the way, are concerned that the entire show is going to be about that and coming. It's not going to be that. You can relax. So that's going to be pretty much the last mention of it. But I want to thank you all for coming. Whoa! Okay, here we go. He was just taking a photo. So that's just in case that was a weird bit where he just dipped down. Also, we'll address the issue here. Have you come into the wrong show? Yeah, I spotted it. You're whispering to each other like, this doesn't feel right. And I'm doing that whole opening going, I think people are in the wrong show. Absolute conditions are perfect for filming it. One shot, one opportunity. Which show have you got to go and see?
We're here now, we're happy to see you.
Which show were you going to go and see? Tamsin. Yeah, that's a good show. That is a good show. Do you want to rush to that one? No. Well, don't worry. Tamsin will get a little greeting from me after this, demanding £16. That's my money. So, thank you for joining for Stuart Lords is All In. I'm Stuart Lords, this is the show. The show has changed a bit since I last performed it, which was in the before times. Certain things have changed in my life. My twin brother, I should explain, I'm a twin. Yes, every woman's fantasy. My twin brother had kids recently, and that, for me, is weird, because it's sort of like, I've had kids. Right? Because half my genes are in those children. And that's sort of unsettling. And I spent a lot of my life sort of trying to convince my twin not to have kids. Like, I'm not proud of this. I tried to blackmail him. I said to him, if you have kids, I will leak your nudes. I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that. He said to me, but I've never taken a nude. And I said, well, I have, and they are gross. That is a little tip. If you are a twin, you can leak your brother's nudes. That is quite good. So yeah, this show is called Stuart Lords is All In. It's all about choices and the choices that we make. And I've made a very big choice to not make it all about me. Yeah, I'm making this about you, not just you for coming to the wrong show. I've started a brand new award. It's called Best Audience Member at a Filmed Special. And you're all in the running. Yeah. There's $250 at stake here. You could win $250 US. Why did I choose US dollars? Because I thought the exchange rate would help me out, but the pound has plunged. Yes. So little tips for you if you want to be the best audience member at the end of the show. Laugh loudly, be supportive, don't drop lens caps. Bad things you can do, I don't know, like be mean, do something I can't edit out, anything like that. So let's test out where the early laughs are. But don't worry, you don't have to do it apropos of nothing. I've made a choice to open this show with a joke section. Ooh, and some of you are thinking, well, it's an hour-long show, isn't it? There will be more jokes as well, relax, okay? But I'll open up with the joke section. We can see where, like, the early laughers are. You can stretch out your laughs, you know, just sort of see where the early front-runners for best audience member are. Before we get into that, yeah, I'll explain. Some of you are thinking, is he going to mention it? Yeah, I do look a bit frazzled. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough for mentioning it. Fair enough. I'm sorry if I do appear a bit frazzled, a bit stressed out. I spent all of last night trying to burn a candle at both ends. It is worth listening to the warnings. And that is a trick. We're already in the joke section. Okay, so some of you need to up your game. You slacked off early on. Do you know the Chuckle Brothers? Do you know they didn't have kids? You know they didn't have kids because one had a vasectomy, the other had a vasectomy. We've kicked off. That's a straightforward joke. We're going. We're having a good time. It's happening. I like my coffee like I like my countries. Togo. Okay. What? Espresso on the streets, cappuccino in the sheets, if you know what I mean. I keep spilling my coffee. Okay. Bricklaying, that's a weird job. Bricklaying's a weird job. You get paid to fuck bricks. I didn't last a day. Get out of here, Laws. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, a bit dirty, that one. Bit too dirty. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, yeah, I'll give you an edgy opinion. Yeah, some of you are thinking, finally, an edgy opinion. Yeah, I like seeded grapes. That's upset a few of you. A couple of walkouts, fair enough. I've got another show to go to. No, I like seeded grapes because it means the matches in the later rounds are between better grapes. Yeah, I don't like that joke myself, actually. A few of you put yourself out of the running by laughing at that one. I think that joke's fine in an email, you know, pop it around at work. You'll get a promotion, I imagine, but that's in a show. I think we can admit, though, I'm a pretty quirky boy. Very quirky. Yeah, some of you have been thinking, is he going to mention how quirky he is? Yes, I know how quirky I am. Very quirky boy. In fact, I'm so quirky that I actually swapped around the K and the T on my keyboard. There's going to be a few breakout sessions on that one. Yeah, walking home tonight. Yeah, it's not bad. I understand also, by the way, this section is stressful. I understand how stressful this section is for you as well. All of you in here want to win Best Audience Member, but every time I start speaking, you're thinking to yourselves, oh no. In about 6 seconds, I'm going to have to either laugh or just stare at him. That is stressful, okay? So I'll give you some impressions, all right? Ease the room. This one is an impression of a restaurant. Finally, someone's had the courage. Okay. Little impression of a restaurant. Go on, then. Have as much salt and pepper as you like. That's good, isn't it? That is, you're like, yeah, I recognise that. That is a restaurant. And that's half the battle, recognising them. Not an Italian restaurant, though, is it? They keep the pepper to themselves. I'll do a little impression of someone for anyone who's ever messed up at work. Yeah, we've all been there. Okay, this is a hitman who's turned up to do a hit, but they've forgotten to screw the silencer onto their gun. Oh, very relatable stuff. Tough job, very tough. Now, the impressionist life chose me, right? I didn't always want to be an impressionist. When I was younger, I wanted to be a coach driver. I took all the coach driver tests, but I failed it because I couldn't break the DVD player. Okay, so that's a room splitter. That's what's known as a room splitter. You know, half the people, the people who've been on coaches, and then the other half, the people who say things like, do you ski? Do you ski's never been said by a good person. It's never the precursor to, because I've actually set up a bursary for underprivileged people to get access to that sweet powder. That's the joke section. We're through it. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, a little round of applause there. Yeah, I don't mind that. Thank you. Now, I should mention, I know I'm wearing this. So a lot of you thinking, is he going to mention it? I know I'm wearing it. It's a very cool item of clothing, the gilet. Very cool for the arms. Not as cool as my friend Charlie, though. My friend Charlie would always wear a shell suit, and I could not hold a candle to that. And that's a trick. We're still in the joke section. Some of you slacked off. Also, did that joke section have a burning candle at both ends? This show has got some structure already, baby. So this show is all about the choices that we make, and I want to start off this section by just asking a few questions. Actually, I'll ask them of you, actually. Just think about them, very important for the show. So, do you like lying?
Yes.
You do? Yeah. Do you like Will Smith?
No.
You don't? Yeah, things have changed. Things have changed. And have you ever lost more than $500 in a day?
Yes.
You have? Well, let's not get into that. That feels dark. That feels dark. Well, thank you. I should explain the show. So the show starts back in 2000 with a story about my nan-parents, and then it jumps forward to 2010 when I went to Vegas with my friend Charlie, and then around about the 40-minute mark, we choose who the best audience member is, and then there's a big twist, and then the finale, and then we can all go home. Now, some of you are thinking, should you have told us there's a big twist? Well, maybe, just maybe. The big twist is there is no twist. No, there is a twist. There is a twist. But I think the show can hold up for people knowing that there's a twist. You know, a few people at the back sort of doing like flowcharts, trying to work out sort of what the twist is going to be. Like he mentioned he's a coach driver. Have we been on a coach the entire time? No, unless the destination is Laughterville. Not a real place. And I should say, I think that's quite a confident thing to explain what the show's going to be at the start. And I didn't always used to be that confident. When I was younger, I thought the key to confidence was having a catchphrase. I thought that was very important. Yeah. Couple of catchphrase fans in. Yeah, I think having a catchphrase is important. And I used to watch American movies, and I loved all of those sort of like big catchphrases and cool stuff they said, like, "Hey, I'm talking here," or "You walk into me," like stuff like that. I love that sort of catchphrase. I love that. And I wanted to have my own one. The one I really wanted to use the most was, "Keep the change." Ooh, that is fancy. Keep the change. Normally, someone go in, take too much money, put it down, keep the change. Buy yourself something nice. Now, at the age of 12, I didn't have either the charisma or the money to pull that off. So I went into a sweet shop with £1, bought 99p's worth of sweet, and then said, "Keep the change." And the cashier laughed at me because she thought I was telling a joke. And I panicked, and I didn't want to seem like I hadn't fully intended to tell a joke, so I laughed to be like, yeah, I meant that. And I think that explains why I'm here today. Not even the best thing that happened in that shop, by the way. The best thing, a gentleman, and I use that word correctly, a gentleman walked in and asked to buy a Freddo the Frog. They full named the chocolate bar. Like maybe it's the first time they've ever bought chocolate and they've gone, gonna have to full name this. Show some respect to this chocolate. It's like, what are they gonna get next? A Sir Toffee Crispian. Do you have a favourite chocolate bar?
Whisper.
Whisper, yeah. Or its full name? Whisper the Frog. Now, the thing is, you can't do Keep the Change anymore. You can't do Keep the Change anymore because everything's on contactless. And you remember the days of minimum spend, by the way? Remember, glorious days. They're gone now. Minimum spend, if you don't know, was when you would go into a shop, you'd get everything that you want to buy, you put it down on the counter, and you'd say, "Just these things, please." And the cashier would say, "No." You buy more of my stuff. That can't be legal. Now, I used to hate it until I realised minimum spend's free money. Not technically. Yeah, you look shocked there. What? Yeah, my bank were the same. It's not free money. It's free from judgment. You can buy whatever you want and just be like, "Oh, I'm just getting over minimum spend." That's how I got into fermented herring. I love vaping now because of minimum spend. Absolutely, it's good for you. Do you know that? Yeah, if you smoked before, I didn't, but I love vaping. I love vaping. Also, minimum spend's how I found out about Kinder eggs. Sorry, Kinder Eggleton's the frog. Now, Kinder eggs, I didn't have them when I was younger. My grandparents wouldn't let me have them. I thought it was pronounced kinder eggs. And so I was like, yeah, damn straight, we'll get some kinder eggs on the go. They've always been so mean to me. And so when the shopkeeper was like, well, do you want a Kinder Egg? Gets it over minimum spend. I was like, what is it? And they said, oh, it's a chocolate egg. Great. Paid my money, walked out the shop, took off the foil, popped it in one. That's not how you eat a Kinder Egg. A nurse told me. Now, when a nurse has told you you're eating chocolate wrong, you have taken the road way less traveled by. I'll use their words. They said, what's happened is, inside the Kinder Egg is a surprise toy. That has got itself lodged inside you, making you a kinder Kinder Egg. But the real Kinder Surprise is that it's lodged itself exactly halfway between your mouth and your butt. And it's your choice which way the surgeon goes in. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, in a slightly surprising turn of events, we're giving you, the patient, the decision which way to go in. And I said, well, hang on, you said halfway. Well, why can't you just go in through here? And they said, because your abdominal muscles are far too strong. Their words. They're the medical professional. I'm not going to argue with them. They said, oh, do you want to meet the surgeons, maybe? That will help you make up your mind. There's 2 surgeons, both alike in dignity. Well, one's got a bit more dignity. There's the mouth entry specialist and the butt entry specialist. And I was like, yeah, send them in. So they sent the first one in, Dr. Botti, Italian lad, nice guy, actually, was the mouth entry specialist. Actually, it was their twin, Dr. Botti, as well, was the butt entry specialist. So parents proud of them both, even though they went in very different directions. And we chatted about it, we were trying to work out what we're doing, and someone suggested, why don't we do an X-ray, find out what the toy is, and Dr. Botti was like, no, I want it to be a surprise. Kinder Egg purist, gotta respect it, gotta respect it. In the end, we did an X-ray, found out what the toy was. It was one of those little racing car toys. So what we did was a little bit of both. They went in through my mouth, pulled it back, let it go, and it just shot out through my butt. The confidence to do that routine in this room. I started that routine knowing the end. Extremely confident of me. I think my nan dad is responsible for that confidence. I'll tell you about my nan parents. My nan and my nan dad, very important to me. But my nan dad especially. My nan dad was a storyteller. My nan dad was from a different era. I mean, that's how nan parents work. My nan dad would tell me amazing stories about a different world, stuff we could barely understand. Like, my nan dad told me once, and look, the people who are laughing at nan dad are in the right. You're in the running big time. The person in front of you is like, stop laughing at nan dad. You're out the running. My nan dad told me amazing stories, stuff we barely comprehend. So he told me this story once about someone who claimed to have finished a lip balm. Like, mind-blowing. The world used to be such a different place back then. He said to me, fire is more scared of you than you are of it. That's surprising, isn't it? What's more surprising? That's a weird name for a dog. That is a weird name for a dog. Timid little dog. He gave me poker. That was what he thought was the key to confidence. Because he said poker is a game of skill, and it's a game of bluffing, but it's about confidence, being confident in the moves that you're making. And so he said to me, biggest tip I can give you, always have a canary with you. Yeah, because everybody else at the table thinks there might be a gas leak. Yeah, you get in their heads early on, it unsettles them. I've never looked at the world with the amount of wonder that he's looked at a van being driven by a woman. Not like, it wasn't in a bad way, he just said he couldn't fathom it. Like, wow, what's happening to the world? He couldn't believe it. My favourite story of my nan dad's is that he put a Robert Dias out of business. That's big, that's a big claim, isn't it? A Robert Dias. Some of you don't know what a Robert Dias is, so I'll quick you up to speed. A Robert Dias is a shop that sells everything you half remember from a dream. Absolutely wild shop. It's chaos in there. Like, every product's got like a promotional video screaming at you. Every single product has 2 completely unrelated uses within the same product. It's like it's a calculator and a coat rack. What? What, so I do some math on the way out the door? I don't understand. It's a coat and a coat rack. That one's good. That one is good. Coat and a coat rack. Now, what my Granddad did to put them out of business is he severely adjusted their expectation of future sales of one of these joke products. I'll explain the product using how they sold it. When was the last time you cleaned your ceiling? I don't know, if you're like me, a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's tougher to clean your ceiling more than every couple of weeks because you've got to get out the step ladder, coat rack, and the chamois. And that's difficult to do more than every couple of weeks. And so this product solved that. It's called the Freddie Brewster Mop Top. And it's a hat. That went round there. That's where hats go. And then there's a splint that went down your back, keeps you level. And then 2 electrical pads just come out and stimulate your abs, get them tight. Unrelated task within the same product. And then on the top was a mop, which you extended up to the height of the ceiling. You get it up there, and then you just... until either your ceiling was clean or you passed out. I did that for longer than I intended to. Now, my Granddad knew how rumours worked, okay? So he started spreading rumours about town that we had the dirtiest ceilings in Christendom. Now, Robert Dias is no mug, is he? He's a mug that's also a USB charger. And he heard that, he heard those rumours and thought, oh, blimey, this Freddie Brewster mop top's going to sell out. So they ordered in a load more stock, rebranded as the Freddie Brewster Mop Top Emporium, and then no one in that town bought any of that frankly wild product. And my Granddad also firebombed the place. Anyway, I don't know if that story's true, but I like what it says about him, and that's the main thing, because, as I say, he's a storyteller, and I think he gave me that. I think that's why I do that now. But he also gave me confidence, and I don't want this to be a sad story. I don't want it to be a sad thing, but, like, I have to tell you that he did pass away around the turn of the Willennium. We were actually out in Miami at the time, celebrate the launch of that second album. It was on South Beach, just feeling the heat just a little bit too much. Horrible way to go. I remember being there at his funeral. You know, we were all there, black suits with the black Ray-Bans on. And I was just thinking about all the times where it was just the two of us. Look, it's like I told you. It was a wonderful time for all of us to get together and just honour my Granddad. One little thigh clap at the front. Yeah, you're putting in a shift, you're putting in a shift. It's a lot of work to get to that punchline. Got to call him Granddad for the entire time, lose half the audience who are like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Why does he keep saying Granddad? And furthermore, what's wrong with the person laughing about it? But yeah, my Granddad gave me confidence. I think that's the biggest thing that he left me. And money, obviously. Yeah, but confidence is the one that's lasted. And I think, like, our love of, like, American culture and American rappers sort of is key to that, because I think America's greatest export is confidence and Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms, by the way, is a breakfast cereal for anyone who wants to start their day with dessert. I was like, oh, you've slept right through. Have a bowl of marshmallows and milk. Thank you very much. And you can see the difference between Americans and British confidence in the way that we market our towns. So, like, Americans will have a huge plaque, huge sign outside their town saying, welcome to historic Tote, population 704. Visit our museum. Visit our cultural center. Take in all the wild stories that make up this sweet town that was formed in ye olde 1976. Whereas in Britain, we've got like a small sign that says, founded by William the Conqueror, but we've got 12 vape shops. Yeah, pretty good, actually, pretty good. Like, rappers, especially, rappers are the pinnacle of confidence. They're not rapping about, like, money worries or that time that they saw a pheasant that looked really stressed out and then you worried for, like, an hour afterwards about that pheasant's life, are they? They're not rapping about that sort of stuff. Rappers are rapping about, like, carrying their money around in briefcases, and they're barely concerned about the mental health of pheasants. Like Will Smith. Will Smith laced this track. Boom, ship a mill, quick to the store, record sold out, when y'all getting more? That's huge. He's in the recording studio, just guessing that he's going to ship 1 million copies. The confidence of that. That's like me opening this show with a boast about a standing ovation. And magicians are the other end of the spectrum with confidence. Like, magicians are always stunned that their tricks worked. They're like, what? How'd I do that? Oh, you've been practicing in your bedroom. Now, my friend Charlie was super confident. I'll tell you about Charlie, the shell suit guy. Now, Charlie had so much confidence, like when we were driving past one of those signs that says road closed and then the date, and it was on the date of his birthday, he was convinced we were organising a street party for him. Imagine having that level of confidence as a teenager. I couldn't believe it. He was bad at poker because he would always speak before his brain had given him permission to. It meant he was awful at poker because he'd get cards and go, hoo, 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 hoo. Oh dear. We worked out what's happening there. He served soft drinks in mugs. Does that explain this guy in any way? Cold soft drinks in mugs. Like, that's gaslighting my mouth. That's not okay behaviour. If I saw a character in a film, in the first 5 minutes do that, I'd go, oh, I don't know what genre this is, but that guy's going to murder someone. I don't trust it in any way. One day we were driving to the Willennium Dome, and he said to me, can we pull over at the next services, because I'm absolutely busting for a cum. What? That is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. And every single day since, it just rattles around. I could be paying for something in a shop and then, oh, yep, there it is. And I don't think that phrase had been said by anyone in history until that moment. That's quite special. That's a confident move. Anyway, I wanted to go to Vegas with that guy. So I think that's more on me. And the thing is, in 2010 was when I wanted to go to Vegas. And that was, the reason why is because my nan and dad had left me money back at the turn of the millennium. It took 10 years to mature. And that's quite a fun thing, knowing that money can mature. It goes through puberty, gets all lanky, knocks over houseplants. I don't know what puberty is. I haven't been through it. Money was very different back in 2010, wasn't it? Money was very different in the before times, because back in 2010, like, only old people had bank accounts, and banks were desperately trying to get young people interested in banking. So you remember all the adverts started to be like, hey kids, you want the super cool saver or the FizzWiz current account? You get a free frog. And everyone's like, what the hell is happening right now? And you remember, like, they tried to make everything a bit more relevant, a bit more interesting. So we had direct debits, and then they introduced indirect debits. You remember that? It was out of nowhere, and it's like, people are like, what's an indirect debit? It's the same as a direct debit. You pay a bill with it, but an indirect debit would just stop off in a random person's account for 24 hours. And if they spent it, it was theirs. That was great. That was more fun. And you remember the Hong Kong ISA? Yeah, you remember the Hong Kong ISA. You remember the adverts on TV? It would be like, Hong Kong. You remember that? You remember the adverts back, like, it was like 12 years. Hong Kong. You remember that? You remember the adverts? Say it with me. Hong Kong. Hong Kong. Hong Kong. Yeah. Hong Kong. What's that? Cresting the brow of the hill. Hong Kong. Yeah. You remember the advert? Hong Kong. What is that? Taking the road less traveled. Oh, what is that? Hong Kong. Do you remember the adverts? You remember? Yes. Yeah. Hong Kong. What is that? It's 3% above base rate. Yeah. We all remember the adverts. But, like, to find out if you'd got, like, an indirect debit come in, it wasn't as simple as now. Like, if I wanted to check my balance, I'd go like, 450 in the minus. I got 50 quid to spend. Whereas back then, in the before times, if you wanted to check your balance, you remember how we had to do it? We had to get on the house phone. You had to get on the house phone, pick it up, dial the bank, and then they'd tell you the coordinates of your nearest teller. You remember that? And a 30-minute window when they'd be there. You remember that? I don't know why I'm telling us this, because we all remember it. But, like, you then go to those coordinates, you get your map out, and you try and find it. And then if you spotted them, you'd chase after them, and they had a little bit of cloth hanging out the back of their trousers. You remember that? Why am I telling us this? We all remember it. You'd race after them, and you'd grab that bit of cloth, and if you got it, they'd spin round and say your balance out loud once. Why am I telling us this? We all remember it. It's not a history lesson. And in your head, you'd be like, is that higher or lower than I thought I have? Have I got an indirect debit coming? Hang on. And if you thought, yeah, I've got an indirect debit coming, you go and spend it in the exact way we always would back in the day. We'd get out our gold bar, we'd smelt down the amount we need, and deposit it into the vendor's loot chute. Why am I telling us this? It's not a history lesson. So, yeah, I wanted to go to Vegas with my friend Charlie. The problem was, he was terrible with money. He paid full price for a Pizza Express. Yeah, that's bad stuff. All right? And all he had in his bank account was a student loan. So I lied to him to get him to go. I said, most people leave Vegas with more money than they went with. And it's not my fault he believed me. Because we all like lying, right? Yeah, yeah, I like lying. Yeah, we all like, but like it depends on the different gradations of lies, right? It depends on the different gradations. So there's like big lies, obviously, you shouldn't be doing them. Like, hey, Nan kid, I put a Robert Dennis out of business. Yeah, there's definitely another breeding pair left. Like, those are big lies. That's a big lie. You shouldn't be saying that sort of stuff. But then there's little lies. There's small lies, like, I'm not crying. Or this is the lie I do most often. It's yep, I understand. I do that at the end of any sentence a mechanic says. Absolutely terrifying. I think I've gotten into lying in a sort of a big way recently. I'm 21 and I'm lying. Well, weird response. All right, someone's desperate to win Best Audience Member. They're laughing at truths. Yeah, I'm 21, I've got tight abs, and I'm lying all the time at the moment. I found myself in a bit of a bad habit, and I'm going to be honest with you. I've been lying to barristers quite often. Recently, every day, I've been lying to a barrister. That's a bit naughty, isn't it? Am I saying that right? Am I saying that right? Barrister. Barista. That's it. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Baristas. I'm lying to baristas all the time. So what I do is I go in, I order a cappuccino, and then I say my name. Is cappuccino? That's not my name. Stuart Laws, nice to meet you. And then when it's ready, they're like, cappuccino. It's like they've summoned it from hell. And then someone's like, objection, Your Honor. I do mean barrister. Yeah. Now, the thing is, I didn't tell my nan that I was going to go to Vegas with my nan-dad's money. But I didn't lie to her. I just kept it secret. Like a new suit doesn't tell you about all the pockets it's got. Just kept it secret. Secrets are fancy lies. They're fancy lies. You're just sort of spinning the truth a little bit. Like my PIN. I keep my PIN secret. I keep my PIN secret 24/7/9. Favorite secret in the world? Favorite secret in the world is when I'm wearing my swimming costume underneath my normal clothes. Just walking around town. People looking at me like, who's that normal boy? Living his normal life. Wearing normal underwear. No. I could be in a swimming pool at the drop of a gilet. And I will be. Now, before we get to Vegas, I should quickly get up to speed with where I am in my life now, as an elder millennial. Life is very different now. Life is very, very different. I haven't seen Charlie for a few years. I also sunk to the lowest low I've ever sunk. I don't know if a few of you can connect with this. I did something that I'm not proud of, but I will share with you, and hopefully you won't judge me too harshly. I joined my local Facebook community group. Yeah, it was a bad few months. If you don't know, the local Facebook community group is chaos. It is absolutely wild stuff happening in there. So like Jacqueline will pop up with a little post that says something like, hey, looking to get rid of my bike. Would love it to go to a good home. Who wants a free bike? Robert pops up. Yes, please. Would love a free bike. Thank you so much. 1 week later, Robert's put up a post. Bike for sale. Robert, you entrepreneur. Backbone of rice slip. Now, I wanted to join in, and so I've been commenting on every single post. Doesn't matter what it is, I want to join in. I want to be an active member of the community. The problem is, I've been commenting the exact same thing on every single post, no matter what it is. I'm just typing out, is this what we pay our council tax for? Get me a lot of heat in Ruislip, actually. That is getting a lot of heat. I live alone, which is nice, but I've also found out I talk to myself. Yeah. Anyone else here talk to themselves? Yeah, that's nice. But the other day I was walking around by myself and I went, I'll be honest. And then stopped. Like my brain went, don't tell him. So now I know I've got something on me, but I don't know what it is. And that's stressful. I know that I've non-ironically used the phrase rolling in the spondoolies. I know that's not okay. And I know that recently I looked in a newspaper and saw an advert for some trousers and thought, oh, they look nice. That's a low point, when you're buying trousers from a newspaper. So I don't know what it is. Also, recently I heard the pitter-patter of tiny feet myself. Okay, fair enough. Because, yeah, you're right. Because when you live alone and your entire flat is carpeted, that sound is terrifying. Because that means it's on the ceiling. Little pitter-patter of tiny feet across the ceiling. I was so panicked I had to strap on the Freddie Brewster mop top, just knock it down, smashed it out the window, and it dropped down into the bushes below, and I looked out and it was like a lizard. Like a chunky, broad lizard with 3 eyes, and it was greasy. It was greasy. And it spoke English or French, one of those languages. And it scurried off on its audible little trotters, and then some guy in a black suit just shone a torch in my eyes. I can't remember a thing for the rest of the day. So let's get to Vegas. Yeah, we got to Vegas, 2010. Now, Vegas is a small town in the wild, wild west of America. And what do they say? What happens in Vegas is the jurisdiction of the LVPD. Correct. Correct. And so for me, the entire point of the trip was going and taking part in a poker tournament at the end of the week so I could honor my Granddad. That was very exciting. For Charlie, it seemed to be about losing more than $500 every single day. Yeah, he was losing money quicker than a bureau de change having a closing down sale. And that was stressful because I had lied to him to get him to go out there, and he was spending his student loan money. He was always going on about how going to university was going to change his life, and he was the first one of the family and all of that. And I was like, oh no, he's spending all of that stuff. So, oh yeah, by the way, by the 5th day, he'd lost 2.5 grand. And in modern money, that's about 1,500 copies of the Willennium. So that explains, I think actually that exchange rate has crashed recently as well. And so I got stressed out about it, and I tried to get him to stop doing it, but then I realized, you know what, I'll pay for him to enter the poker tournament. If I train him up and give him some of the lessons my Granddad gave me, maybe he can win back some of his losses and he can go to university and have that education he'd always dreamt of. So I used the book that my Granddad used to teach me, and in the book it says there's 4 levels to playing poker. You want to be 4th level. That's the best level of poker. The first level is you play the cards you've got. Simple. Second level, you play the cards you think they've got. Third level, you play the cards you think they think you've got. Fourth level, some of you can work out where this one's going. You play the cards you think you think they've got. Right? Now, the book stopped there, which is weird because I can already think of a 5th. Straight away, I can help you, book. So I taught him that. And I did as best I can to teach him about that sort of poker. But then I remembered he had an issue separate to poker, and that was him just saying the exact emotion he felt whenever he looked at the cards. And I thought, that's tough, because that's quite an obvious tell. Now, a tell in poker is a little clue about the emotion you're feeling about the cards you get. So it could be something as simple as keeping good cards closer to you, putting bad cards further away from you, wearing a gilet to pretend to be confident. Like little things like that just can sort of put it into their minds. And, you know, Charlie's was just saying out loud exactly what he thought when he looked at his cards. But then I thought, you know what? The most famous tell in all of movie history existed, and maybe if they can get away with it, maybe Charlie could. So it's in the film Casino Royale, which is the sequel to Casino. And in Casino Royale, James Bond has to defeat Le Chiffre. Now, Le Chiffre is a terrorist and a poker player, sort of like a Robert Dyers product. How are they linked in any way? I don't understand. And so what Le Chiffre would do is he would use his winnings from poker to fund his terrorism. Sort of like, you know, what I'd say there is, if you're using your money from your real job to fund your hobby, then you should probably stop doing comedy. Terrorism. Terrorism. Now, James Bond's plan was simple because he was going to go and beat Le Chiffre at poker, and that would financially ruin the terrorist organization. So James Bond, who's a master poker player, enters the tournament, and it ends up just Le Chiffre versus James Bond. And they're sitting down, and they're playing poker, and it's just those two left, and it's tense, and James Bond's playing great poker. Le Chiffre's playing great poker, and it's going well. And then James Bond spots that Le Chiffre has got a very subtle tell. But because James Bond is such an expert poker player, he's figured out what that tell is. It's very subtle, and only James Bond could spot it. But basically, whenever Le Chiffre was bluffing, very subtle, extremely subtle, whenever he was bluffing, Le Chiffre, very subtle, would just bleed from the eyes. Very subtle. And James Bond spotted that, was like, this guy's bleeding from the eyes, I'm all in! And won. And I thought to myself, if Le Chiffre can get away with having that as their tell, then surely Charlie can get away with his tell. So we entered the tournament, and you know what, we did actually pretty well for a couple of reasons. Number one, most people playing poker in Vegas are hammered, so that was fine. I was playing like 4th level poker, trying to honor my Granddad as much as possible, and we both got to the final table. How did Charlie get to the final table? He freaked those Americans out. They could not fathom what was going on. This guy just going, oh, yeah. They were like, who is this QWERTY brick? We do not understand what is happening here. And so we got to, it was like the final few of us, and it got to a situation where Charlie got some cards that made him go, shit. Shit. And I thought to myself, okay, so he's got bad cards. Then he went all in. And that made the 2 Americans next to him fold because they were panicked. They didn't want to get any piece of that pie. And it came down to me, and I had good cards. So I was in a situation where I knew that if I called him and went all in, I would beat him. That would be great for me because I would honor my Granddad. I could win that poker tournament. But he would lose and would never get a chance to win back all that money that he spent from his student loan. And it's these big decisions in your life where you have to sort of work out where you morally stand and what you want to do. And I am proud to say that I made the right choice and I beat that sucker. You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have done it, Charlie. I beat you, and now I'm rolling in the spondoonies. I am so goddamn rich, and I want to share some of my riches with you, so it's time to pick today's best audience member. Let's give it up for the person who couldn't stop laughing at Granddad. Please welcome to the stage. Welcome to the stage. You want to come over here? Is that for Molly as well, everyone? Do you want to put on the gilet? So there's the #1 gilet. Can you tell me why you think you won today's award? It's absolutely true. Can I take your name?
Becky.
Give it up for Becky, everyone. 24/7/9. Okay. Okay. Huh? Wow. Wow. Now, look at all of this sweet, sweet cash. You going to take hold of some of that? You can check it. There's also a little bit on that one as well. And then just, you know, a couple of quarters as well. Yeah, yeah. So you could win all of that, but you could risk everything and raise it up to $500 on the flip of a poker chip. Because if it lands on the other side, you go home with nothing. If it lands on honk honk, you get nothing. It's real money, real sweet cash, isn't it? We should try and mic up some of these snorts. Now, yeah. What's this? Don't put it away yet. No, hang on. We put it back in. We put it back in the case. That was tough. You didn't take any, just muttered in. Thank you. What are you doing? Right, so, what would you like to do? Would you like to risk it all?
I think I need to risk it all.
Yeah, for the filming. Yeah. You just go, no, 250 for me, please. See you later. Right, so if it lands on all in, we'll all cheer, and if it lands on the other side, we'll all scream honk honk. So it's up to you. Whenever you want to flip that chip, go for it. It's all in! Yeah! Give it up for Becky! You'll get your cash afterwards. So, pretty gutted about that, if I'm honest. Absolutely hoping for a honk honk there. Well, now, at the start, I asked you 3 questions, and I said that was important because it was important for the show. So, I'm going to put this up here. You didn't know at the time, but you changed the direction of the show with your answers. So, we went down this route. You said you did like lying. And so I opened up with a routine about a car coming out my butt. Yeah. If you said no, it would be about a Christian football team that I play on. Different vibe, isn't it? Very different vibe. The thing is, most people don't admit to lying. Most people, I've done this show over 50 times, most people are like, no, I don't lie. So I put that there because that routine is, by far, the best routine I've ever written. I'm filming this today, and I didn't get to do the best routine I've ever written. It's ruined even more when you put a routine on that side. You're so convinced that you're going to do it that you have a custom-made T-shirt underneath, which is a callback to that routine. That doesn't make any sense to you? Doesn't make any sense. Favourite joke from that is, it's over 5,000 years since Noah built a fuck boat to bang all those animals. So he said, you don't like Will Smith, so I punished you with a routine about my Granddad and our love of Will Smith. We could have gone down the scratch card route, which is basically I won some money on a scratch card, but I framed the whole Vegas story as like going there with money from winnings on a scratch card. It changes sort of like the emotional dynamics of it. To be honest, that was a better route. Thank you for that. This route, if we'd gone down this way, I thought it'd be funny to do a routine about a foursome after talking about being on a Christian football team. Basically, that's a quick story about like when me and 3 friends tried to organise a foursome, but it was a logistical and admin nightmare, and in the end, they just had a threesome. So then we're down to this final section, and you chose real all-in because you have lost more than $500 in a day. It got pretty real between us, and now we're going to do the real all-in story to end this. But we could have gone down here, the movie all-in, and that... Oh. Yeah, okay, so the movie all in was like that dramatic poker game. Dan, we don't need you now. Hey. Yeah, we do. No, we're not doing the movie all in, so we don't need you. Yeah. So yeah, we're not doing that, but that's exciting because I bleed from the eyes at some point. That's quite fun. We come down here, the Cafe Plates drama. That's a story. I tweeted it. Basically, I saw a woman in a very empty cafe move dirty plates from the table she wanted to sit at to another table. It just happened to be the only other table that someone else was sat at. And that woman at that table was like, no, thank you, and then moved them back from whence they came. And then the original woman was like, I made my choice, and then moved them back, and it became this weird passive-aggressive war. They're both members of the same book group, and I then joined that book group, and they found out I was tweeting about it. So we're not doing that. Timeshare, this is the thing. When you've written a 5-hour show, and it can be different variations of it depending on the answers given to a question, you have to prop in a lot of like breadcrumbs, little bits that could be relevant. Like, I mentioned my twin at the start of the show. Hasn't come up again. Some of you are like, why would you mention that and not bring it up? Because it's down this side, because my twin was actually on the Vegas holiday with me and Charlie, and we ended up in one of those timeshare meetings, but we were there with 4 other twins. It was a fun, and that's a fun story there to end, but we don't get to do that. So we're here at the real all-in, and this is exciting. This is something I wanted to do to push myself, because, right, I don't always tell the truth on stage. I'm telling fancy lies. Like, there's an element of truth in all of it. Like, I don't call him Granddad. I call him Granddad. Right? I haven't had a car come out my butt. But I have like had lots of different surgeries and things like that for injuries playing for the Christian football team. So like there's like elements of it. And like we did go to Vegas with my friend Charlie. The truth is that he beat me at poker. Yeah, I'm terrible at poker. I play the cards I think I have. That's the worst way of playing poker ever. My nana did leave me some money, but it was like 100 quid or something like that. So it's like I put that there because I wanted to push myself and I wanted to tell a true story, because too often on stage I sort of put up a barrier. I literally wear body armor on stage for the majority of the show. The gilet is body armor if you want to protect your thorax from air conditioning. But it's thorax, and I'm talking about Will Smith and puffins and whatever. So I put that there to push myself and to challenge myself. There's a real all-in. Thank you very much for choosing it. So yeah, this is the end of the show. Right. Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. I want to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you the story of how I had a vasectomy recently. Yeah, so I'm 21. No more lies. No more lies. I'm 38, and I had a vasectomy recently. Now, I've got no kids. And that's an unusual way. Most people get a vasectomy, they have a couple of kids, and then they say, oh, no more kids. Whereas I had 0 kids and then said, oh, no more kids. But I'm the same with heroin. I don't need to try it to know it's not for me. You know, and the thing is, people are always like, come on, Stuart, you'd be so good with them. You should do it. You should do it. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. Like, you know, you do it, and then you get like the chemicals, and you feel you bond, don't you? And you have all of that, and then you become that boring person at the party, just showing people photos of all your favorite heroin. I don't want that. I don't want to do that. And so I got a vasectomy done. Some of you are thinking, what is a vasectomy? What does it mean? A vasectomy means I hate your children and wish they never existed. And the thing is, Charlie, whose real name is Lee, by the way, so pretty much telling the truth, but I chucked a char on the front. Lee, who I hadn't seen for a few years, but I called him because I knew he'd had a couple of kids and then said no more kids. So I called him to say what's going to be happening in the procedure. He'd tell me about the vasectomy. So he said to me, but basically down there, but we'll pretend it's up here for the sight lines. You don't need to. It's here, but here. 2 tubes. One brings the sperm to the fluid, if you know what I mean. You can bring the sperm to fluid, but you can't make it drink. Have a fucking drink, mate. Have a drink. I don't want. Yeah, I was parched, actually. I was parched. Little thirsty sperm there. Fucking hell. I was still doing impressions. And so what they do, Charlie said to me, Lee told me was that they cut, crush, or burn the vas deferens. That's quite chilling, isn't it? So you don't know which one it's going to be. Vas deferens is exciting, though, because that sounds like a Dutch footballer. Okay, yeah. And also, some people ask me, what happens to the sperm, then? Are they just trapped forever in a weird Alcatraz down there? No, that's not the case. What happens with the sperm is they reabsorb back into the body. Yeah, right? Which means every single day, I'm getting stronger. I'm better at swimming. And so I went to the hospital on the day, and then you sort of have a little meeting with the nurse, and they run you through the procedure, and that was all fine. They were very calm until they used the word scrotum. I didn't like that. Because the word scrotum's never used before a good thing. It's not like, hey, Stuart, do up your trousers, pack away your scrotum, you're going to a theme park. It's we're going to inject something into you. And so that unsettled me. And so we went into the waiting room with 2 other people. All of us alike in dignity, a 0. And the first person went in, and they went in. It took about 5 minutes. They came out. They seemed quite chipper. That's nice to see someone looking quite chipper. They asked for a cup of tea, sat down. Good, that's good. Second person goes in. Takes about 10 minutes. They come out, ashen-faced. They grab their coat and walk straight out. And I thought, that's a bad sign. Because I'm up next. Like, is the surgeon getting worse? Like, have they been up all night burning the vas deferens at both ends? Is this like the Kung Fu Panda trilogy? You know, the first one, great. Second one, bit dodgy. Third, they cut the dick and balls clean off. That is a spoiler if you haven't seen Kung Fu Panda 3. And so I was nervous, and so I went in, and the nurse said to me, "Oh, great, if you could take your trousers off and waddle to the bed." And I thought, you can't use scrotum and waddle. You've got to pick a lane. But I waddled over, and then they said, "Can you take down your underwear?" Which I was wearing that day, because I was a normal boy doing normal things. They said, "Can you lift your penis out the way?" And Big Willie style, haha. And then they set to work. They got to work down there. And this is the bit where people start to get a bit anxious. So to relieve some of the tension in the room, when I say for sec, you say to me, for sec? They cut, crushed, and burned my vas deferens. They did all three. And the reason I know they did the last one is because my nose told me. I could smell the inside of my scrotum on fire. Now, I like scented candles, but I'm never buying charred vas deferens. But the procedure was a success, very, very simple, straightforward. And then as I was packing everything away, the surgeon said to me, if you could wear supportive underwear and abstain from sexual activity. And I said, not a problem, boss. I've been slacking off lately. And then I got a taxi home, and that was a nice thing to know that taxis could take every single speed bump possible. I didn't know that. I didn't know I'd left that option on, but that was nice. And then basically, I was told to steer clear of the area for a month, and then I had a checkup. And so I went back, and that tone was very different. It was very like Sperm of Darkness vibes. And so I went into this room, and a different nurse sort of sat down opposite me on the table, and then put down 4 things. And they went, envelope, bigger tube, small tube, condom. And then they looked at me, and I nodded and said I understood. We realised needed to explain to me, so he said, after 25 emissions, you will use the condom. You will then pour that into the smaller tube, put that into the bigger tube, put that into the envelope. And I said, like a Kinder Egg. But he didn't laugh. And so I said, look, what do you mean by 25 emissions? And he said, your 26th masturbation will be into the condom. And I didn't like that it implied every single one would be self-administered. But I swallowed it. Grow up. What he did say to me was, under no circumstances should you send us the condom. And he said it with the exasperated, desperate tone of someone who's been sent an enormous number of used condoms. Linda, they've done it again. And then he stood up, get ready to walk out, which was a pretty obvious tell that he was done, but I was still anxious, and I was like, I've got a couple more questions if I could ask, because I've sort of been running this through my mind, like the 26th wank is sort of living there in my head, like a weird art house film that I'd pretend I'd go and see. And I said, look, I've steered clear of the area for a month, you know, apart from the monthly wash. And I feel anxious, and I feel I don't know what's happening, and like, furthermore, like the whole situation is sort of landing with me for the first time properly. And like, this is the thing, like, I've always known that I don't want kids, but in that moment it was like, this is real, like this choice I've made, I know what's going to happen because I made that choice. Most of the time we don't know that when we make choices. Like at the start, you didn't know that your 3 questions were going to change the entire course of this show. But that doesn't matter. It's just an hour-long show. It doesn't matter. So, but for me, it suddenly was like, yeah, I've made that choice, and this is what the rest of my life is. And I'm fine with that, but like I just sort of needed a moment with that guy. I also wanted to know when I could start on that 26-step program, because I was absolutely busting for a cum.
You can't stop me. It's so supportive. It's so supportive. You can't stop me. The shit I ever seen. Thank you. I miss you a lot. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye.